Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Yeah, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Quick reminder, tomorrow is kind of a special day. We got two things going on. Number one, we got the King of the Ring 1996 Going In Raw Retro Review. That's going to be going up wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, on the YouTube. We've already filmed it.
First thing in the morning is going up.
First thing in the morning. And the reason why we filmed that for tomorrow is because we're going to be getting together live at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern for the 2022 WWE 2K22 Friendo Draft. That's right. We've got like 20 pages on the community creations of Friendo Creations. And Larson and I are going to be drafting your characters to be incorporated as our roster for our brand new Create a Wrestler series thing. E-Feds, thank you. And here's how we're going to do it. Tomorrow we're going to do the draft, probably run a couple matches. We're going to sim a couple matches, do some channel points, and then I'm going to produce a 10-episode plus one pay-per-view special event series, similar to how I did NXT Steve, with a beginning and an end, and then WrestleCoin, which I still need to put on YouTube. And then after that, Larson will do the same with his drafted characters.
What am I doing?
It's okay. We already talked about it. You need to involve yourself in this conversation here.
I'll distract myself with other things then. Carry on.
You're good to go. Keep playing solitaire.
It's not solitaire. Snake.
Appropriately. And then, did you ever play Snake back in the day on your Nokia?
Never played it.
Neither did I. And then, so yeah. And then after like 20 weeks or whatever, we're going to do We Book Raw again, which should be a lot of fun. The return of Rawgate Mutant. Or will he? I don't know. So anyways, that should be a lot of fun. So join us tomorrow on the Twitch at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you haven't already, if you want one of your Friendo creations, one of your 2K22 creations to be up for grabs, so there's going to be some broken hearts out there, man, because I'm looking for something pretty specific. There's going to be some broken hearts, is all I'm saying. Because a lot of people are putting a lot of time and effort in these community creations thinking they're going to be drafted.
And
guess what?
Gonna undo all your work.
Oh, there's that too. It's going to be a lose-lose. Either you don't get drafted and you don't get your shit in there at all, or you do get drafted and guess what? I'm going to change your character's name. People were mad about this before. Remember that? In Steve W, when I would change people, I didn't think that you were going to kill off my character and change your name. Sorry. Once they sign with me, you have no creative control whatsoever.
Steve is like Vince McMahon. They get brought in,
revel in it.
Their names, new gimmicks, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. You think your character's going to come in as some alpha? No, man. I'm going to probably put them in tighty whities with some butt stains and job them out day one.
Yeah,
buried.
Highly likely.
Buried.
Highly likely.
Yes.
Highly likely.
No, nobody's keeping their name.
Well, I imagine what's the Dark Lord Steve? He'll probably keep his name.
Maybe. I don't know. Might change his name to Ding Dong Steve. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good name too.
I know, right? See, I know better. Anyways, wild fun is to be had here at Going In Raw, and a modicum of fun was to be had on Raw last night. I thought Raw was pretty good, but let's talk about this first, man.
Yeah, this is interesting. How wrestlers are viewed within WWE by WWE is interesting to me.
Yeah.
You know, because we watch Raw, we hear the reactions that say, right now, Cody's getting. They're spending tens of thousands of dollars on pyro for this guy, every one of his entrances. It's a ton of pyro. His new entrance looks great, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was really into it. Just pyro happens, he appears. It's great. It's like he's teleporting. And so it's interesting to see how he's viewed within the company. So, PW Insider has a list of who's considered top faces and heels for Raw. And based on his reception these days, if you think that Cody is viewed as top face on Raw, guess what? you'd be wrong. This is what PW Insider has to say. Quote, Cody Rhodes is currently slotted
Ezekiel, number 1.
as the number 2 babyface for the Raw brand, second only to, your guess is Ezekiel?
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley.
Oh, yeah.
Number
that was
1.
my next guess, yeah.
And then AJ Styles is eternally listed as number 3 on the heel side of things on Raw. PW Insider reports that Seth Rollins is considered top heel, followed by Kevin Owens, and then Edge and Damian Priest. So I guess this, in one sense, confirms something, at least in my mind, that the storyline with the Moss and MVP now is not only to build up Lashley as babyface, but also seemingly top babyface to maybe, if Roman ever shows up on Raw, for Lashley to get a shot at the undisputed Universal title while they build up Cody to eventually be top face on Raw.
That's the best way to take this. It's not. I don't think it's an indication of, oh, they want Bobby Lashley to beat Roman Reigns for the title. It's who's next in line for the top storyline, which right now is Roman Reigns in both those titles, and it's Bobby Lashley. And like you said, MVP and Amos play into that. They built up Amos. To be honest with you, like, you got to give them some credit for doing this. They built up Amos thinking, oh man, they're having this guy steamroll people. We kind of bought into it, even though like once Bobby showed up, we were all like, oh dear.
I was this close to putting those 2 confidence points on Lashley rather than Amos.
Yeah, totally. And so, but no, it was all to get Bobby back. They've been running those babyface promos even when he was a heel.
Yeah, no. I know.
And then he comes back and he's a babyface and MVP turns on him.
Yeah.
And so you want to build him up as strong as possible to take on Roman Reigns. So yeah, seemingly he's going to be next after, Shinsuke Nakamura. That match sort of gets out of the way, I guess. Yeah.
And depending on how they approach the title defenses for Roman, whether he's defending both belts as one unified belt, or which would, based on the name, would seem to be the case, or if he's going to defend each belt separately. Then you could have 2 feuds going on concurrently. You can have Nakamura on SmackDown, Lashley on Raw. Then after Nakamura, you can have Drew on SmackDown. Even this summer, it feels like it may be a little too early for Cody to step up. Who knows? But Lashley has to get through this Amos storyline first. I would not be surprised if their next match, Amos beats Lashley. But if they really want Lashley to be viewed as top babyface on Raw, he's got to win that feud.
Yeah, he's got to withstand MVP's distractions. He's got to win that feud, and if he loses to Amos, it's got to be like
a protected
Lashley
loss.
Really protected. Yeah, totally. He's got to be just like a destroyer. So yeah, no, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, currently, they can have their internal lists. It doesn't necessarily reflect reality. Cody Rhodes is super over right now. Super over.
Yep.
And it's funny. Like, I loved his little exchange with Miz yesterday. It gave us so much when he was talking about Miz. You haven't changed at all. Look at me now. And great point, because he has. Like, you look at Cody Rhodes prior back in 2016 or whatever it was, and it's a sea change.
Well, he didn't have the neck tattoo back then.
That's the most obvious one.
Yeah.
The neck tattoo. But the way he can command a mic in a crowd.
Yeah.
Is nuts. I mean, you go to AEW and people, you can talk about how the crowds responded to Cody Rhodes. It was always a weird situation.
Yeah.
Through, I think, some unintentional, design of his own, perhaps. I know it seemed like Cody always wanted to walk a certain line and play with the concept of heel and face. And I think that just ended up backfiring on him because he would get booed when he probably didn't want to get booed, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know. We talked about this a little bit on the pre-show in terms of, okay, well, Cody, I could see being a SummerSlam match, against Roman. And I don't think that I still don't think Cody's the guy that takes the title off Roman, but maybe somehow if they de-unify the titles, they can kind of have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, man. I thought Raw was pretty entertaining last night, relative to what you could do with a 3-hour show. And you didn't see Roman Reigns. You had the specter of Roman Reigns kind of made physical with the Usos and what their quest is now.
Well,
but I kind of, let me just say this real quick.
Yeah.
I kind of appreciated the specter of the unified champion out there. Like, man, this is the mountain that people are going to try to climb. We don't need, no disrespect meant to a guy like Big E, but like Big E coming in, obviously a secondary champion, and everybody's fighting for this secondary championship. I like that there's one big mountain to climb at the very top. That was my take on what I saw last night. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say it's an important caveat, I think, to a degree, in terms of how we ingest Raw.
Yeah.
If we still had to sit and watch all 3 hours live and then do a show afterwards, it still would not be a highly enjoyable experience. It wouldn't, because it's long and it's still filled with all sorts of recaps. Now that we watch it after the live airing has aired, we can fast forward through commercial breaks to recap. It makes for a much more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, but I'll just interject here. What we got last night,
there was some good
viewing
stuff.
it the way we do, versus what we got 6 months ago when literally we stopped doing it that way. I think creatively, I'm not going to say it's a sea change.
No,
but
it's not a sea change. It's an improvement. But if I had to sit there through all those recaps, especially when they have a brawl with AJ Styles and Damian Priest during the show, and then literally right after a commercial break, they show a replay of that. I remember sitting here and watching. I'm like, why are they doing this? This just happened. It just happened. Why do we need to see a replay of this? Anyways, hey, before we get too far into Raw talk, let's get this in here. WWE fans in the United Kingdom have been clamoring for a pay-per-view to happen in their country for years, and today, promotion announced to be holding their first stadium show in the United Kingdom in over 30 years. It's going to happen September 3rd, Cardiff, Wales, at their Principality Stadium. No news yet on when the show, or what the show will be called, or if it will air as a premium live event on Peacock. I'm guessing it will. If they're going to put forth the effort of having a huge stadium show in the United Kingdom, I'm guessing that's going to be their September pay-per-view because there's nothing scheduled right now. But again, nothing officially confirmed. That's great for fans over the United Kingdom. They
That's
get a pay-per-view,
fantastic.
seemingly.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see. That's Labor Day weekend. That's usually the same weekend that All Out happens. So,
that's true. Yeah. No, that's pretty awesome. Good for the Brits. That SummerSlam they did with Brett and Bulldog.
Yeah.
Of course, a classic. And if it also classic, Brett's retelling of that match with Bulldog, when Bulldog they laid out a carefully laid out match, with chock full of detail. And as soon as that bell rings, what did Bulldog say? Brett, I'm fucked.
Yeah,
I can't remember anything.
He forgot it all. He was out partying. He was out partying the night before. Forgot it all.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, okay, let's jump into Raw now. As you mentioned, there was some enjoyable stuff, some pacing issues. I thought more so in the first hour. But there's stuff that came out of here. We got Tommaso Ciampa officially being called up, as we had talked about yesterday on the news show. He's keeping his name. They introduced him as new Raw superstar Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, I honestly expected the finish to AJ Priest to go down where Ciampa,
under his new name. Yeah.
Exactly. I totally expected that to happen. I would have had a decent number of confidence points on that happening. Instead, we got a very brief introductory interview, which had Ezekiel and Kevin Owens do that stuff, and they gave him his full name. And man, I think that's flipping awesome.
It is.
That's great.
I don't want to get into another prolonged conversation of why they change people's names, because it's spinning of wheels at this point.
Yeah, sure.
I wonder what the criteria is for name change versus no name change. Is it literally just Vince likes your name, you get to keep it?
I don't know. I mean, this is terribly speculative, and it's not even good speculation. Does it have anything to do with, like, okay, did Ciampa recently resign? I forget. I honestly forget. There's so many different stories.
Been a little bit.
Maybe if they know they have him for a certain period of time, and Vince just gets a feel for a person and is like, hey, he's going to be here for another, let's say, 3 years, and he had a really excellent, role at the NXT 2.0 coaching people. Seems like he's going to be here for a while. That's the only thing. But that's nothing concrete, and WWE likes concrete, I think.
They do. The best I could think was maybe here's someone who has really firmly established themselves in NXT across 2 iterations of NXT, 2-time champ.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to have a strong brand name coming up from NXT, it's going to be Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah.
And maybe for the sake of continuity between the 2 brands, they're like, all right, let's at least have our champions. Former NXT champions, maybe. At least in NXT, not UK because they changed Walter's name.
Right, and Butch, yeah. I mean, the Walter and Butch thing is like, that's kind of nuts to me because Pete Dunne did just re-sign a contract.
I know.
So I honestly don't know. It could simply be Vince likes the name Tommaso Ciampa. I don't know. Ciampa, if you see what happened with Cole, if you saw what happened with Gargano, Ciampa stayed. He did everything to put everybody over. He is a good soldier, and I say that in the most complimentary way. If you're WWE, you're loving what this guy did because his contemporaries didn't. They took off. They're like, we don't want any part of this. He stuck around. He made everybody look great. He jobbed to Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah.
That alone is worth keeping his name for. I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of, he dyed his beard. He trimmed it up. He's done everything.
Yeah, he seemingly has done everything they've ever asked of him to do.
Maybe next week they'll have him change his name. I don't know.
Maybe.
But you would think he's debuting, on main rosters. Hey, he's now officially here, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, dude.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Let's take a break here to get a word from our sponsor, Lumen. Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Let's talk skincare. So I'm sure
Okay.
a lot of friendos out there are once like me. Skincare routine probably consisted of washing your face with the same body wash or soap you used on the rest of your body. You probably thought, that's got to be good enough. Well, I've got some bad news for you. That body wash or soap you've been using all these years is actually damaging your skin.
That is totally true. But with Lumen, you can drop that bottle of 3-in-1 and start using products that actually take care of your skin. Lumen's products aim to help with those stubborn acne scars, under-eye dark circles, wrinkles, sun damage, dry skin, and oily skin. And getting started is easy. All you got to do is take the 2-minute quiz on their website, and they'll tell you which skincare routine is best suited for your needs.
Yeah, I took the quiz and got the anti-fatigue essential set to help with these dark circles I keep getting under my eyes. And with Lumen, I know I'm getting high-quality products made with natural ingredients like licorice root extract, rose flower oil, charcoal powder, ginger, and green tea.
So level up your skincare game with Lumen Skin today. Go to lumenskin.com/raw to get your free trial of Lumen's products.
That's LUMIN skin.com/raw to get your free trial of Lumen's products. lumenskin.com/raw. And let's get a word from our sponsor, Blenders Eyewear. Fresh from the sandy beaches of San Diego, California comes the only sunglasses brand I'll ever wear again, Steve. I'm talking about Blenders Eyewear, and you're going to be just as hooked when you witness how awesome they are. I got myself a pair of, look at these.
Ooh.
Ice Crush shades.
Hey, look at that.
And they're my go-to sunglasses to wear when I'm out on my morning walks or running errands.
Well, I got some Stone Breakers. Yeah. Blender's team of in-house designers are always coming up with new styles, too, like orange polarized wraparounds, tortoise shell frames with purple lenses, and classic gold arms on black lenses.
And unlike expensive big brand shades, Blenders are actually affordable and still offer the same cool factor as other leading brands, and they've got more than sunglasses. Blenders offers prescription glasses, readers, and blue lights, as well as a snow collection with goggles and accessories. So live life in forward motion with Blenders today.
To score 15% off your Blenders purchase, visit blenderseyewear.com and enter promo code RAWVIP. That's blenderseyewear.com. Code RAWVIP for 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide. And before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, Get Upside. Hey, Larson.
Yeah, Steve?
Have you noticed that basically everything is getting more expensive these days? I'm talking about gas to groceries to dining out. Inflation is really hitting us in the wallet, man.
Yeah, I have noticed that, Steve, which is why I started using Get Upside. Been using their app when buying gas and eating out. I'm getting cash back with every purchase. just last week. I bought some gas to put in my car, and then after that, I went and I got a burrito using Get Upside, and now I've got a few extra dollars just waiting to be spent on more burritos.
Oh, the more burritos, the better, man. They are so delicious. And so are the offers you can get through Get Upside. All you got to do is get started is download the Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play. Open it up and claim an offer for whatever you're buying. Then check in and pay as you normally would with a credit or debit card and get paid. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon or a bunch of other brands.
So download the free Get Upside app and use promo code RAW to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using promo code RAW. Someone did get a name change yesterday, and that's Austin Theory. He's no longer Austin Theory. Now he's just Theory. And I guess it makes sense. He got stunned by Austin. He might not want to have any association with the name Austin now following that experience. So drop the Austin.
This one I really don't mind, and it's simply because I honestly do think that Vince really, really likes Austin Theory, and I think that he wants to push him to the moon. And I think we're probably going to start seeing that. I think, isn't it next week that we get Finn versus him for the U.S. title? Is that for the title?
Yeah.
I think that shit's going to happen. I think Theory's going to get that. If not, then at Backlash. And I just wonder if Vince is like, hey, let's future-proof your name so that when people say Austin, obviously when people say Austin, they think of the biggest draw in the history of the business, right? So you ditch that because you want him to stand on his own. Or his name to stand alone anyways.
They should just change his first name. Bill Theory. Theory is kind of like, hi, this
Gary
is Theory.
Yeah.
All right.
Theory.
It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of an odd name by itself. But put another first name, Bill.
His first name's scientific.
Okay.
Bill Theory's better.
Bill Theory.
How's it going, Bill Theory?
Bill Theory here.
Yeah, that's good. It can't be the Adam Theory.
Yeah.
Austin.
Oh, Adam Theory is great. Get it?
Adam Theory. Yeah, Atom.
Yeah.
Adam Theory.
Yeah.
Quantum.
Yeah, there you go.
Quantum Theory. That's a good one. Yeah, just theory. Whatever, we'll get used to it.
I guess so, like anything else. Also,
do we still say Matt Riddle or we just say Riddle? I think I usually say Matt Riddle.
Yeah, I usually say Matt Riddle too.
Yeah, I still think him as Matt Riddle.
Yeah, me too. Cody got a new entrance. We missed that a little bit. It's great. There's all sorts of fog and stuff that's billowing about in the like the portal, the doorway of the giant Tron.
Yeah.
You have this pyro that shoots out from the side, so it's like a wall of pyro. Once that dissipates, he's standing there.
The first, because we got it twice last night, and it's explosive. It's great. Yeah. It's like you said, there's this it's like Stargate, man, or Rawgate. There's like this billowing.
It's like he's transporting in. He's a Star Trek.
That's exactly what it is.
Star Trek.
But like you said, there's like this explosive transporter door that boom, and he's there. And I swear to God, on that first one, he was like in the line of fire. And he sort of like jumped a little bit. And I could be wrong, but I was like, oh my God, that was nuts. And the second one, it looked like he was back a little bit.
Maybe.
Because he didn't want to get exploded on
like
again.
A magic trick.
Yeah, it was an illusion, the dark arts.
Yes, truly.
It was great. He looked jazzed from it too. And they give him like so much pyro during his entrance.
It's tens of thousands of dollars in pyro. Between just that entrance door and then all the other pyro. It's a very expensive and elaborate entrance. MVP explained his actions to Bobby Lashley. Pretty much in a nutshell, Lashley, you were floundering on Raw until I came. I turned Bobby Lashley into the Almighty. Now you say you don't need me.
Yeah.
And so he's out to, in one sense, prove Lashley wrong by doing so, build up another superstar.
They both made the argument last night that they made each other.
Yeah.
Because he was like, MVP, you're on the verge of hanging up your boots.
Yeah, he was on his farewell tour, yeah.
Your farewell tour, you do what you do best. You latch on to somebody else's success. I made you. No, I made you. And now we're going to find out who made whom.
And I'll be honest, they both made compelling arguments.
I think that this debate was a draw.
I would think
in terms of who made whom.
Yeah.
But I like Amos. I like MVP. I like Lashley. I'm down with this.
I like them all as well.
But he's not number one babyface. That's Cody. The crowd was wedding Bobby Lashley. They weren't really wedding Cody.
Even though I thought Lashley was doing a really good job with his promo last night. And final note here before we get to the breakdown of the show, we got new challengers for, RK Bro and Bianca Belair. So as expected, the Usos showed up, issued a challenge to RK Bro to unify those tag titles. I guess that's happening. Is it happening on Friday on SmackDown or next week on Raw?
So there was apparently one of our friendos here said that there was an ad for let's find out. Let's see if WWE.com even has that.
Is it WWE on Fox that was saying that?
I think there was an ad that said that. So why don't you hit up their Twitter account?
I shall do so.
Let's see here. SmackDown. No, it's just from last week's stuff. Drew McIntyre. That was last week. Oh, rematch. Hold on. Gender. Okay, wait. No, there is some stuff for this week. But it doesn't say that.
Yeah, it doesn't like there's anything on WWE on Fox either. They're just posting gifs from Raw.
All right.
And I'm back at the beginning of the show pretty much, and there's nothing there.
Maybe somebody here in chat will.
Anyways, I think it's happening next week. And then Bianca Belair has her first challenger as Raw Women's Champ.
Yeah.
And it's Sonya Deville.
That's awesome. That's great. I wish that it wasn't spoiled for me on social media because I watched that bit a little bit later, and I was kind of curious to see who it was. And then when it was her, my only qualm with that is that I wish they would have held off on what was the last feud she had where she got in the ring. It was Naomi. It was Naomi, which I actually kind of liked, but it sort of petered out.
It did really peter out.
I kind of wish that they hadn't had Sonya do any in-ring stuff until now, because it would have made like the idea of her return a bigger deal. But no, I like this. I actually really appreciate that Bianca's first opponent, her first feud, is going to be somebody who is holding on to their authority power. You know, it's an authority storyline, which we don't get a ton of anymore. I mean, Sonya's been the prime evil authority figure in WWE lately. If you take out, Vince and the Austin Theory stuff. But I kind of like that. It's like heavy odds against Bianca Belair. Sonya Deville is going to be able to wield that authority power, and she gets to be back in the ring, and she's like sticking it to Adam Pearce. He's kind of involved too.
Yeah
I kind of like this. It feels like kind of a big deal. It's not just they're wheeling out, I don't know, Dewdrop again or something. It's not just another, regular wrestler who we all know Bianca can beat. They've got some additional odds. Obviously, she's going to come out of this on, the winning end, but they can tell maybe a more complex story with somebody who's, her boss as well. We've seen it a million times, but maybe this can be a fresh take on it.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive into it. Kicked off with Miz TV. Man, there was a time when Miz TV would be the bane of my existence. And there's been a couple now that have been like, oh, okay, this is pretty good. If it's a focused Miz TV with a point to it.
Well, here's the thing. If there's actually a guest and there is focused and there's a point, then yeah, if it's just Miz out there on his own for Miz TV.
Just talking. It's like, it's on the verge of being Lambert with me. So anyways, Miz says, he asked the crowd, he's like, do you think Cody can beat me tonight? And they're like, yeah, of course. And so he introduces Cody, and they're like, well, we know what's going to happen here. And according to your notes here, of course, we talked about this. They ditched, in your words, the rinky-dink Cody Vader.
Yeah.
the Futurama head in a bottle thing.
Yeah.
And then so Cody comes out, and Miz is like, and Cody does take forever.
Oh, he's preaching to the crowd all over the place.
It is forever to come out, and Miz is like, are you trying to upstage me on my own show? Is that what this is now? Is that what you are now? An egomaniac who doesn't give a damn about anybody other than himself? And Cody's he's sort of taken aback. And he's like, hold on, don't get hot. He's like, it's been a long time since I've been in front of a crowd like this. And crowd pops. And Miz is about to talk. And Cody just gets up again and preens to the crowd. And they chant Cody. He's doing just great stuff here. So Miz is like, okay, can we please get started now? He says, last week on Raw, you had this emotional explanation as to why you returned to WWE. He says, you wanted to make Dusty proud. It's admirable. He says, but let's be honest, Cody, if it wasn't for your family name, you wouldn't be the grandson of a plumber. You'd just be a plumber. Cody's like, oh, okay, that's very clever, Miz. He says, you know why being a plumber would be a good thing right now? Because you're completely full of shit. He sort of stops himself before he actually says shit. I wish they would have let him say it.
I know.
He says, you haven't changed at all. He says, you're arrogant, obnoxious. You're a full-blown carny. And the fact that you embrace it makes you reliable. Good old reliable Mike. He says, look at me. Do I look the same? He says, what do you think I've been doing for 6 years? He says, every piece of that road that I was on provided me with clarity on what I need to do, and that's to win the undisputed universal belt. And Miz says, it's a title. A belt holds up your pants. There is a lot of play between wrestler and superstar here.
Exactly.
He says, but those are lofty goals. He says, you're very good. He says, anybody beat Seth Rollins deserves to be in title contention. But I've heard that Seth Rollins wants a rematch. And this time you won't be able to surprise him. Seth will be able to strategize. And Seth is the visionary. He says, I don't like your chances. And to be honest, I don't like your chances against me tonight. He says, more people talked about you at WrestleMania than anybody else. But unlike me, he says, did I hide or surprise my opponent? I destroyed the Mysterios and then embarrassed Logan Paul. But all everybody wanted to talk about was Cody. He says, I know where you've been the last 6 years. We all do. He says, but maybe you forgot that Raw is my show and you don't come and embarrass me on my show. And then Cody interrupts. He says, settle down. He says, I'm going to tell you something maybe you've never heard on your show. He says, I respect you and your accomplishments in WWE. He says, I get the sense that this hostility is because you feel threatened by me. He says, I have no issue with Seth, and if he wants a rematch, I'd be happy to oblige. He says, but you're making things personal. When I came back to WWE, I knew there'd be criticism, there'd be doubt. He says, but I can handle it all. He says, I came back to beat the very best wrestlers in WWE. And Miz corrects him, said they're superstars. And Cody says, look, I've enjoyed our chat, but I'm really looking forward to my first match on Raw in 6 years tonight, and it's against you. May the best man win. Miz tries to attack Cody from behind, and Cody just sends Miz out of the ring. Mm-hmm. This is a solid start.
Yeah. Then we get Dominic Mysterio versus Veer. Veer just dominates Dominic for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 minutes, puts on that cervical clutch. Dom taps out.
I appreciate that with all the Veer's coming jokes, they have his finishing submission be something where the guy is basically positioned at Veer's crotch.
Yeah.
And I love that he's doing this to fucking Dom, who honestly I can't stand. I thought this was fantastic.
It was pretty
And
funny.
then they wheeled that fucker off in the ambulance. Hopefully he's going to be gone for a couple months.
Well, he wins the match with that cervical clutch, puts Dom back in it. Refs and producers try to break it up. They eventually Veer steps back. When they shows them all slide, puts it on again, and then that's when they bring the stretcher down. And after commercial, medical staff puts Dom in an ambulance while some producers and Raw superstars watch as it happens. And then we go to a really quick interview with Veer, and he's asked, why'd you do that? He says, I strike the fear into the heart of any man, and then it cuts back to the ambulance as it pulls off. And this next bit, man, I mentioned it earlier, and it really confuses the heck out of me. So we got AJ Styles interview. And he's asked, hey, are you afraid of this Edge thing that's going on? He says, I'm afraid of what Priest and Edge, of what they're going to make me do to them. He says, I know it wasn't the smartest idea fighting 2 guys at once last week, but they talked about my family. When you talk about my family, we got to throw hands. And then the camera kind of pans over, and Damian Priest is walking through. AJ goes to attack him. Producers and ref break it up. Go to commercial. We come back. AJ makes his entrance, and literally during his entrance, this is a span of 3 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then they show a replay of that brawl.
Oh, yeah. Solid brawl, though.
It was...
it was a good brawl, man.
It was an all right brawl.
I wanted to see it again. I was like, oh, man.
That's why you have a fast-forward function on your remote. I'm like, why are they showing this replay again?
Because what? I've seen his entrance a million times. Let's see the shit that just happened. What if I was taking a shit and I didn't see the brawl? Now I'm coming back to my TV. I'm like, is there any heat behind this match?
If you were dumping out and hadn't seen the brawl and AJ just made his entrance, you'd have no idea a brawl happened. But here's the thing. Having that brawl happen in no way enhanced what happened during this match. Because how this match ends, Steve...
It didn't.
It just ended. It just stopped.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Yeah. So AJ is basically wiping the floor with Priest.
Oh, murdering him.
For a vast majority of this match. Damian finally gets some of his shit in, and he's looking for a reckoning. AJ counters that, looking for phenomenal form. Priest counters that. And then so Priest gets in the middle of the ring. He takes a knee. The house lights all come down, and a single purple spotlight shines down on Priest. And he kind of makes a weird face, and they fade out.
Yeah, that's it.
And they come back, and the match just ended.
Yeah.
No explanation.
Felt
None.
like a 2K. It felt like a 2K22 glitch. You know how like somebody like what happened that time? Larson Hunter ended up in the crowd.
Yeah,
and then like, but it didn't just end. This was it just
ended
sort of,
and like
yeah.
they go backstage and AJ's back there like, why? Did he get teleported out? No explanation.
Yeah.
How did he end up backstage?
Yeah,
I just don't get it. And so AJ's it's like, okay, I'm what is this about all this BS? And it's like if you want to look down from that mountain on high, I don't care about you or anybody else. No one's going to stop me from getting to him. Edge is mine.
Was it did they just end this because AJ had like 5 giant cuts on his face because of this match?
I don't know.
He was fucked up. There was like, because I rewatched this morning during our waiting room because I was like, we had talked about it and I was like, okay, I know I came back in and then I saw online that like Sean Ross Sapp was saying, what the hell? They just ended this thing without a finish. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I caught just, the AJ interview. I was like, did anything else happen?
No.
And no, it didn't. But I did notice that AJ had like 5 different giant cuts on his face.
Forehead, I know.
I don't think for a second that I think this was supposed to be the finish. This is one of those weird things where you have to ask. And I'll be honest, I haven't asked this question in a little while, so that's a good thing. What were the writers thinking? When this was pitched as the finish, what the fuck? Why didn't anybody say, that's not a finish? This match didn't end.
Like, if Priest teleports, it's easy. You bring the lights all the way down, you bring the lights back up, he's gone. All right, I understand that. I understand that. Now he has supernatural powers. All right, fine. I get that.
What they did do, what commentary did do, is say, and this is even more funny because it's so dumb. Jimmy, what's the name? Smith? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay. Jimmy Smith said, hey, everybody, we were able to get the power back on in the building.
Yeah.
The power hadn't gone out. There was a light on Damian Priest. You know what you need to generate light, Larson?
Power.
The power was fine.
Yeah, the power was fine.
So the power didn't actually go out. He just had somebody like Blue Edge was in the truck.
Yeah.
He executioned everybody there.
Yeah.
Or put them all in the deal and then took over the light situation because he knew his guy is now all of a sudden a terrible wrestler.
Yeah.
He's a losing wrestler, Damian.
Jorge D in chat here says maybe Priest just ran down the clock with a D. His victory formation for Damian Priest.
Yeah. Yes. Victory. Yeah. Take a knee. Another victory. DP.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. After that, we had
maybe we'll get an
Miz.
explanation for this, but based
we're not.
on prior
no.
events, for example, Demon Balor losing just because the turnbuckle falls apart, I'm guessing we're not going to hear anything about.
That's another one. Yeah, that's another one where it was like, okay, so he gets up on the turnbuckle and it just breaks, and that's the finish.
No explanation.
Oh yeah,
nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
No, it's great. Fortuitous. Yeah.
Fortuitous. After that, we had The Miz versus Cody, and it was kind of interesting. Small quibble. They had this match open the second hour, close the first hour of Raw. This could have easily been the main event, but if they had done this at the top of the second hour, it would have made all the sense in the world.
Oh, I want to see
you
that
have
entrance.
2 Cody entrances in the span
again.
of an hour. This seemed like a lot. Space this out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but on the other hand, I was all about. I'll take 5 of those Cody entrances per episode. I'd be down with that.
Yeah,
more the better.
I'm not going to argue that it's good. So, anyways, as the match is about to start, Seth Rollins comes to ringside, sits by the commentary, doesn't join commentary. Another great suit from Seth Rollins. This thing was spectacular.
Yeah, that was great. And did you notice it was matching Cody's gear? By the way, it was like the royal blue and gold, and same with Cody stuff. Yeah.
Another decent match here from Cody. He wins with a Cody cutter and then a crossroads afterwards. He's celebrating. He's on a turnbuckle, posing the crowd. Seth comes in behind him. Cody turns around and does the "I'm ready to fight." And Seth has a mic. He says, "I heard all the kind things you said earlier, even throughout the word rematch. I want you to remember that you had every single advantage at a WrestleMania match. Now that I see what I'm working with, here's what I'm thinking. Rollins versus Rhodes, part 2. What do you say, Mr. Nightmare?" And Cody just goes, "Yes, absolutely yes."
And the whole time, Rollins is like circling Cody like a shark, and Cody keeps.
Yeah.
Anytime Seth goes to his back, he looks back. Where is this fucker? Why is he circling me? He's making me dizzy. You had a great idea. You had a great idea in the pre-show for Rollins' gear at this backlash.
It's got to be Stardust inspired. I'm not saying full-on Stardust. Whoop, 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 whoop. No face paint or gloves.
Little shades of it. Little shades
Just
of it.
Obvious nods to Stardust. You want to get in Cody's head.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what you do. After that, we had Tommaso Ciampa interview. Before he could say anything, Ezekiel interrupts. He says, "Hey, I just want to welcome you to Raw." Ciampa goes, "Thanks, Ezekiel." Kevin Owens comes in and says, "Hey, don't get fooled. That's Elias.
Don't get fooled.
Stop
That's Elias.
I don't like liars. Stop
that.
that.
I don't like liars.
What are you trying to pull?" And Ezekiel says, "You're mistaken." And he just leaves. And so Owens tells Ciampa, "Don't believe him. That's Elias." And Ciampa just says, "All right, easy mistake, but that's Ezekiel. That's Elias' younger brother."
He buys into it.
Yeah, he does. And Kevin Owens says, "Why are you doing this? Am I the only one who's still sane around here? That's Elias." And he tells Ciampa to grow up, and he leaves, and Ciampa just kind of like shakes his head, turns to the interviewer slightly, and goes, Ezekiel. And shrugs. It was pretty funny. Ezekiel.
Yeah. I like this whole bit. It's so fucking weird, but everybody just seems to love the joke. Like Elias is doing such a good job with that like half smirk on his face, and Kevin Owens going crazy over this. It's an easy mistake to make. Ciampa says, "Easy mistake to make."
Easy mistake to
That's Ezekiel.
Ciampa was just deadpanning all this, even the very last. Ezekiel.
Yeah, it's his younger brother. It's Ezekiel.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Then we had Liv Morgan versus Naomi. I believe this is supposed to be a tag title bout. Liv and Rhea challenging Naomi and Sasha. Commentary said Rhea's in protocol.
She's a protocol droid. Well, yeah, what is that? She's in concussion protocol?
I mean, that's usually
COVID protocol.
Usually it's concussion protocol when
explosive diarrhea protocol.
They didn't say, they didn't put a qualifier in front of the protocol, just protocol.
Pretty sure it's explosive. It's explosive diarrhea protocol, man.
Naomi gets the win here via roll up. At one point, Liv's looking for a Hurricane Run off the second rope, and Naomi counters that with powerbomb. That gets her two, and then they trade a bunch of roll ups, and Naomi finally wins with the roll up.
Yep, another L there for Liv Morgan.
Yep.
After that, we had the VIP lounge with Omos, but it's not Omos and MVP. Bobby Lashley walks to the ring. He gets on the mic, says, "I wasn't invited tonight because of what Omos and MVP did to me last week. So I decided to invite myself." He says, "Last week should have been a celebration for me because I went to hell and back against Omos at Mania." He said, "I'll give credit where it's due. Omos is a strong, scary man. I barely made it out of my match against him." He says, "But then the next day on Raw, I felt that relentless power again, but this time it was because I was stabbed in the back by MVP." He says, "So without wasting any more time, MVP, bring your punk ass out and explain yourself."
Mm-hmm. A few moments pass, no MVP. Lashley says, "Maybe I should make the VIP lounge more to my liking." And he starts threatening to tear up the table, tear up the couches. And then Omos and MVP make their way out the stage. MVP tells Lashley, "Stop embarrassing yourself being so emotional. And if you destroy any of my property, my lawyers will send you a bill for the damages." Lashley says, "MVP, you can stick that bill up your ass." And tells MVP and Omos, "Come to the lounge and explain yourself." MVP says, "I'd love to allow Omos to go to the ring and teach you another lesson in humility, but Omos has learned to become a businessman, so he's going to wait until the time and the money are right. What Lashley should be doing is putting some respect on my name. In fact, Lashley and the fans should be saying, 'Thank you, MVP. You want an explanation? Here it is. When I came back to WWE, you were floundering. You were letting some runt."
Ooh,
I know.
You know that is
man
of the hour.
And a wannabe TikTok star.
You know that is
Lana. Leading your career astray. You couldn't sniff the WWE title despite all your immense talents until I helped you unlock your potential. And you think you don't need me after everything I did for you. You didn't want to share your WrestleMania spotlight with me. I made you, Lashley. Before I came back, you were just Bobby Lashley. But then I made you the Almighty." And then Lashley says, "Well, you, MVP, came back for your farewell tour. You were going to call it an end to your career, and then you did what you do best. You latch on to your next meal ticket." He says, "You saw where the Almighty was going. After I destroyed everyone on Raw, I went to the top and defeated Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. And MVP says, yeah, you did that with me and to make sure it all happened. It says, but now you don't need me. That was the past. This is the present. And I'm looking at the future. He's looking at Amos. He says, Amos is larger, stronger, meaner than you. And he will take your place atop the mountain because he understands that he needs me. Lashley, you barely survived your first match against Amos. And he says, I guarantee, no, I promise that you won't survive the next. Lashley says MVP needs to worry about his own survival. And if MVP thinks he's tough because he's standing behind a giant, he's going to chop Amos's ass down like he did at WrestleMania. And after he's done with Amos, he's coming to get MVP. And then he proceeds to trash the VIP lounge set. And he picks up a couch and throws it out of the ring.
It was very impressive.
Couches aren't light.
No.
In fact, they're very heavy.
Yeah. This was very impressive. I got worried at one point because he chucked, I don't know what it was, something out there, and like it came close to the crowd. And I was like, oh dear, it's gonna hit somebody.
Like that time Brock Lesnar chucked a car door into the crowd.
My God, I know, that was terrifying.
That was pretty
Oof. There's families out there. So after that, we had some 24/7 stuff. So Tozawa and Truth exit Akira Tozawa's bachelor party, and Reggie walks up. Truth asks about Dana, and Reggie's like, yeah, Dana and Tamina are having a joint bachelorette party. And Truth is like, what? He's like, you can't have him do that. You can't trust anybody when it comes to that 24/7 title. Let's get over there. So those shenanigans continue a little bit later. First up, we've got Pierce, Sonya Deville, and Theory backstage. And Theory says, you know what? Vince has assured me that I'm going to have a U.S. title opportunity soon. And Pierce says, Austin, we're well aware. And Theory says, whoa, no. Just call me Theory. Me and Vince have decided that Austin just doesn't suit me. And Pierce says, okay, Theory, you get your U.S. title shot next week. And then Kevin Owens steps in. He says, what kind of ship are you running here? What's going on with this Elias Ezekiel crap? He says, I can prove it. I just need to prove it. I need to see records, a birth certificate, a driver's license, library card. And Pierce says, you know, man, all that stuff is confidential. You can't get your hands on that. Kevin Owens says, even a library card is confidential? He says, and Sonya and Pierce, he says they don't care about the truth. He says, but I do, so I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Next week, I'm going to put Ezekiel through a lie detector test. And Sonya says, okay, fine, whatever. And Kevin Owens is happy, so he leaves.
Yeah. And
then Sonya says Bianca has a match next against Zelina Vega, but she's been asking who her first title match is going to be against, so I made a deal for Bianca's first title defense. It's going to be great, Adam Pearce. And then Pearce says, I don't know anything about this. And she's like, listen, I got it. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be good stuff.
So it's all good.
So let me get Bianca versus Zelina Vega before the match begins. Zelina has a promo. She says, essentially, I've gotten rid of my tag partner. She's no longer holding me down, so I plan on winning the title to go along with my crown after I beat Bianca. So Bianca wins pretty quickly with the KOD. Sonya comes down the ring while she's celebrating. They go to commercial, come back. Sonya congratulates Bianca on her victory. And on her historic Mania victory, and tells the crowd, hey, let's all give Bianca a round of applause. They do. Says, now let's get down to business. You've been wondering who your first challenger is going to be, so I took it upon myself to find you an opponent. It wasn't the easiest of tasks because there are so many viable women in the women's locker room right now. There's Becky. There's former champs like Rhea and Carmella. There's Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Doudrop, Dana Brooke. Says the point is options are endless for you, and any of them be worthy of a title shot. Bianca says she'd be happy to get in the ring with any of the women that Sonya named, but at the end of the day, I'm going to walk out Raw Women's Champ just like I did at Mania. So whoever you got, let's do it. So Sonya says, in my hand, I have an open contract for the Raw Women's title. And if Bianca is serious about facing anybody, then sign it right now and solidify to everyone why you are the EST of WWE. So Bianca says, oh, I see what you're doing, but I said what I said, so let's do it. So she takes the contract, signs it. Hands it back to Sonya. Sonya says, all right, let's bring out your opponent to make the contract official. And then so she starts introducing this opponent. There's a drum roll sounding. Bianca looks towards the ramp. Sonya chop blocks Bianca, lays her out, hits some moves on her, says, I'm your next opponent. She picks up the contract, signs it. Adam Pearce comes down to the ring. Sonya grabs the title, holds it up, and then just walks out.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I thought this was solid, man. I can't wait to see Sonya mix it up a little bit more. I hope this is going to be a good storyline.
Yeah, me too.
After that, we had more 24/7 shenanigans. Thought this was pretty funny, to be honest with you.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah. So it's Dana and Tamina's bachelorette party. Los Lotharios come in. they say, hey, we can spice up the party a little bit. And we get Los Lotharios kiss cam. They do that on Dana and Tamina. Nikki ASH walks in, says, hey, I've got something special planned. And it's a couple of male strippers. Apparently, these were trainees at Seth Rollins' Academy. The Black and the Brave? Is that what it is? Yeah. So anyways, Tamina takes off one of their shirts. Turns out it's a ref. Nikki tries to roll up Dana, or she does roll up Dana. Tamina breaks it up at the last second. A brawl breaks out. Tozawa, Truth, and Reggie come in to break it up. Truth lectures them all, says, no one loves a 24/7 title more than me. He says, but it's not the title that keeps us together, it's the love. In the spirit of love, as the only certified marrying guy.
Yeah, as like an ordination. He has like an
officiant. Yeah. He orders all attacks on Dana Brooke to stop until he marries Dana and Reggie and Tamina and Akira next week. And I like this because earlier during the brawl, Tamina had taken Nikki and did the old movie spot on the bar. There's like a bar there where she slides her on the bar. It was pretty funny.
And it was pretty funny at the end, too, while Truth is talking to them all. Like, Dana is really excited because he says, I'm going to marry the two couples next week. And Dana and Reggie are excited, and Akira's excited. Tamina, not excited.
Yeah.
Not excited.
She did look, I think it was Humberto Carrillo. She sort of looked him up and down when he did the kiss cam thing. It was kind of cute. She's like, I'm into that.
Yeah.
He's a good looking man.
So we're backstage. Adam Pearce walks up to Sonya and he says, Sonya, you naming yourself Bianca's first challenger is complete abuse of power. Who do you think you are? And she says, well, I think I'm the first WWE official to answer an open challenge, and I think I'm going to shock the world. And when I beat Bianca, become new Raw Women's Champion. Pierce says, I can't believe you think you can get away with it. She says, there's nothing to get away with. I made it official. There's nothing you can do to stop me. Don't be jealous, and I'm still in my prime, and you're not.
Ooh, damn. You know, man, if Pierce would have sacked up, we could have had that Universal Championship.
I know.
Adam Pearce is new Universal Champion.
I know.
Like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And then we had RK Bro versus Alpha Academy. Gable comes out first with the promo. He, talks about getting his master's degree in Detroit. He says, but it doesn't look like my genius rubbed off on any of these idiots because they look and sound dumber than the last time I was here. And he says, we heard what the Usos said on SmackDown, and you got another thing coming if you think you're going to come to Raw and take our Raw tag titles and leave. In fact, the only reason those titles aren't around our waists is because Mania was full of distractions, not least of which was Gable Steveson trying to steal my spotlight. He says, Gable's got a gold medal. Big deal. I've got a golden brain, and I might be the smartest man on the planet, and that's an achievement. He says, and look at Otis over here. He's got that face of confidence because he knows we're going to beat RK Bro and get one step closer to getting our tag titles back. And so this match goes down. Of course, it ends with an RKO on Gable. Yeah, on Gable.
Yeah.
After Otis is taken out by Riddle, probably. I don't know. It's on the outside or something. Yeah. Orton hits the RKO for the win, and then on the Tron, an SUV pulls up Larson. It's the bloodline, and then Raw rolls on.
Yeah, it's the Usos. So they come to the ring.
Usos,
yeah, they come to the ring, and Orton says, "Hey, I was beginning to wonder if you were going to show up on Raw, but apparently the big dog let his bitches off the leash, so here you are." And the crowd goes, "Oh,
ooh." Usos like, we've heard that before.
Yeah. And Jay says, "Hey, you know why we're here? It's the issue challenge. We're already the longest reigning SmackDown tag champs in history. We're trying to be the Raw champs too." And the Jimmy says, "Yeah, we're here to open a challenge for a unification bout." Riddle says, "Unification, like in the Avengers, like when Thanos was trying to get all those crystals." And Jimmy says, "Yeah, we got the blue ones. We're trying to get the red ones too."
I like that.
That was
like,
good.
That's right, Riddle. He understood the MCU language.
He did. So Orton says the Usos are going to come to our show, challenge us for our titles. Listen, before he can say anything else, he's interrupted by the Street Profits. Dawkins says, "Last I knew, we challenged RK Bro to a 1-on-1 bout. Then Alpha Academy made a triple threat at Mania." And Ford says, "Yeah, the same Alpha Academy that we beat last week." Dawkins says, "The way I see it, we're next in line for a title shot." And then Ford says, "Yeah, but the Usos are once again using their bloodline privilege to cut to the front of the line." Jay says, "There isn't a line. There's only one line, and that's the bloodline." Ford says, guess what? We'll be happy to face you after we win the Raw tag titles. And that way, Street Profits Usos, we could be the ones to unify the tag titles themselves. And they just start arguing back and forth. Orton tells them, shut up. No one wants to see them bicker. They want to see him fight. And then apparently he just makes the match himself. He has matchmaking powers.
Oh, dude, he's been around since 2002 or whatever it is. Yeah, man, absolutely. And this was a hell of a match.
It was a lot of fun.
This was that last the last false finish there where Montez hits the frog splash, and he just every week he gets higher and higher on that damn thing, and he hits it. And, of course, he bounces off and he, stumbles to get back to the pin, and he gets a pin. And then right on 3, I forget who that was on, but the other Uso. Jimmy broke it up. And, man, it was so good. So then Jimmy throws Dawkins into the post. Ford throws Jimmy to the apron, ducks a super kick from Jay. Jimmy tags himself in, and the Usos hit Ford with the 1D for the win. And RK Bro get in the ring. They all hold up their titles together, so you get the red and blue titles. Dawkins gets back in the ring. Riddle tries to RKO him. Dawkins blocks that. They both tumble out. Orton hits Ford with an RKO. Usos come back in. Super kick Randy. Then they all pick up the belts and do a W Wrestling thumbnail with the red and the blue held high. Thought it was a strong way to end Raw there.
It was.
Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions. I have a thread open here on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steven Larson. We got all sorts of reward tiers there. $5 a month also gets you access not just to our bonus stuff, which today at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing Overrun, our bonus episode, our bonus podcast episode we do every single week. Of course, on Thursday, we've got The Numbers Don't Lie as well.
Correct.
David Matuszek says, how would you treat a debuting WWE wrestler differently outside of a backstage skit? I like when they do, they don't do this very often at all, but I know they've done it before, little mini docs introducing them. I think it'd be cooler if we had some little mini documentary stuff.
Yeah, any way to make them more genuine and relatable and personable.
I want to know their story.
Exactly.
Look, it's a fun joke that Veer was coming for, I don't know how many months. But it would have been way cooler if we had a little mini doc about his life, because he has had a genuinely interesting life.
Indeed.
But people don't want to know about that.
So says Bruce Pritchard.
They want to know about Diesel, not Kevin Nash.
Quoth Raven says, power rank the following alter egos. You got Joseph Park, of course, Abyss, Ezekiel, and Elias. Gregory Helms and Hurricane. Mr. America for Hogan, and then Corporate Kane and Kane.
So, if this is being ranked by power, you'd obviously have to have Mr. America and Hogan number 1, Kane number 2, Abyss number 3, and
Helms 4, and then Ezekiel 5, because we literally haven't seen him do anything in the ring.
Correct. Let's see here. Cameron says, what's worse, a recap of a segment that happened right before it, the AJ Priest brawl, or that Dom won't be out for 8 months after the attack from Veer? What's worse is that Dom won't be off my screen for 8 months. That's worse. Because that's long-term satisfaction if he's gone for 8 months.
Yeah. I don't know. I just can't stand when they literally show a replay of something right after it happens. I
can't stand when they show Dom on my TV.
All right.
I'm at that point with him. He brings nothing as a wrestler. And it was just so shockingly obvious, especially anytime they do a tag match. But, at Mania, when Dom's in there just sort of doing slow motion Rey Mysterio moves, and then Rey comes in and does them double speed.
Yeah. Mayor Planet Houston with your King of the Ring 96 review coming out tomorrow. I had a thought. How would history have changed if Stone Cold had messed up or flubbed his lines while doing the famous Austin 316 promo?
Austin 316 says, I just whooped your ass.
Yeah.
If he tried to say kick and whoop at the same time.
If he didn't deliver that deliver it with that level of confidence, who knows? I don't know.
Nobody'd be busting out those shirts and signs.
Nope.
They'd be busting out signs that says, Austin just kick whooped your ass.
Yeah. They'd be like, wow, Austin made up a new word. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, kick whoop 316.
Yeah.
Austin just made up a new word. Oh, yeah, we got to put that shirt out. Kick whoop 316.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. Matt and Caleb Graham asks, do you think we could see the Blackpool Clobbering Club expand to different promotions similar to how Bullet Club has recently? I think they could feature, well, what's his face is the pure champion.
Yeah, Wheeler Yuta.
Wheeler Yuta. So I think in terms of a different promotion, like Ring of Honor, I think is going to be kind of handled. Yeah.
Bring in Josh Alexander from Impact.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Soon to be probably awesome. Impact champion.
That's awesome.
White Brownie, would it be better for Finn to drop the U.S. title to Theory and then transition to AJ and Edge's storyline to help even the odds? I mean, I think we have this, and I've been guilty of this too, this idea that, okay, Finn could just easily be put into the storyline, or it'd be cool if he was, given that he beat Priest for the U.S. title, because we want to see AJ and Finn have any sort of interaction.
Yeah, I know.
Given they're both former Bullet Club members.
Yeah.
Apart from one instance where their hand was kind of forced, WB has basically shown no interest in giving us that.
None.
So I'd be very shocked if it were to happen.
Same. But the story is kind of there. They could do it, and it makes sense for Finn to do that.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, same. Let's see here. Xavier Grace says, why are the Los Lotharios in the 24 segment this week? Shouldn't they be on SmackDown? Oh, this is a party. This is an official Raw business. We heard there's going to be, a highly sexually charged environment. Los Lotharios want a piece of that. Never know what could happen at one of those parties.
Cornbread Haas, a company with money, is a fan of Going in Raw, wants to do a collaboration. Nice. If Going in Raw was going to have a branded product, like a Going in Raw alcohol or beauty products or snacks or whatever, what would you come out with?
Donuts, baby! That'd be awesome. Going in Raw branded donuts.
Friend Donuts.
It's done. It's done. We should find out, see if there's any licensing company, that put your fucking
with
face on merch.
Some company makes the donuts and they just put your
Friend Donut Club,
put your logo and stuff on it.
That's good. Alex Foster, in kayfabe, what determines which superstars get pyro and which don't? The same thing as out of kayfabe, their contract.
Yeah.
Kayfabe contracts are kayfabe.
Yes.
Oh, Maddie Daddy here. Subbed here for 5 months. Says, thanks for answering my question. I'm the Matt in Matt and Caleb. Well, thank you, Maddie Daddy 2009.
Thank you so much.
Moses Pose says, what do you think the Ezekiel payoff will be? He says he's hoping for Elias versus Ezekiel at Mania. That would be awesome. Spend all that money on, get one guy for the live crowd in like a green screen suit. Mm-hmm. But here at home, we get to see, Yeah,
that'd be cool. Cody's, who do you think will be the first person to beat Cody?
Ooh. Should be Roman, really.
Yeah.
Cody just builds up a big-ass record and faces Roman, and then Roman, smash him, shines him. Pins him, stacks him.
Yeah, could be.
Roman. Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.